everybody.
Hi.
I'm Lauren H. I'm 23 and I work in retail. Okay, actually, I'm Megan and this is my husband Nick, and we've been married for 15 years, making out for 18. Thank you.
Seeing Nick and Megan, I was like, holy crap, they're not just on my TV screen anymore, they're right in front of me.
I love their shows. I love like Parks and Recreation. I love like Will and Grace. Like, I'm a huge fan of both of them.
Today is all about firsts. So, we are here to tell you stories about some memorable firsts in our lives.
And like any good story, we hope that it's full of adventure and romance and is brought to a rousing climax.
Ooh. My story is called The First Time I Someone. The first time I someone, I was a little nervous. I didn't feel confident. I wasn't sure if I was there for the right reasons, but I had a little talk with myself, a little pep talk, and it turns out that I could do it, and I did do it, and I went on to a lot more people.
Wow.
Thank you.
So Nick and Megan kind of gave these stories with a lot of innuendos.
This is the story of the first time that I plucked the blossom of a woman. I was feeling insecure when I arrived at her house.
Nick Offerman is telling a story about gardening and definitely had a sexual undertone.
She helped me part the at which point finally I did arrive at the velvety petals of her blossom, and I clipped it, and it was a beautiful rose.
It was very cryptic and unusual.
In case you're wondering what's going to happen today, we're here to help you guys tell your own stories about significant firsts in your lives. Your first kiss, your first pet, first time you went to jail. Anything that really stands out as something that you would like to share with Colton or kind of let him know more about who you really are.
And then this evening, you're going to perform your stories in front of an audience of 200 people.
I think the goal of today is to just give Colton an idea of our personality and give him a little bit of an insight into who we are outside of the fancy gowns. I absolutely hope that at the end of this, Colton has a first story that includes me.
We're huge fans of you and The Bachelor.
Thank you.
So tell us, who's the crazy one?
I don't know. It's only been one night.
We don't know yet. I
There's...
feel like Colton has a thing for me, and it could interfere with this season of The Bachelor.
I would love to have him around the house,
Yeah,
like giving me tips.
great guy. Yeah,
in,
you guys
in the
could be
dumbbell
buddies.
area.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, bro?
Hi guys, I'm Megan Mullally, and this is Nick.
So tonight we're going to hear stories about people's first time doing different things.
We are talking about our firsts, and we're doing it in front of 200 people, which is nerve-wracking.
Let's get things started. Colton, will you set us off, please?
I'm excited for Colton to get a glimpse of my past, and I want to hear about his past too. I want to hear Colton's story.
So for most of my adult life, I had a secret. I was a virgin. And as an athlete, I thought I had to fit this mold. I made up lies, and I was uncomfortable speaking my truth. One day, I get to the locker room. One of the veterans asked me, he said, "How many girls have you slept with?" So I sat there sweating. What's a good lie? Is it 1, 4, 10, 100? What am I gonna do? It finally came out of my mouth, and I said, 0. And I didn't know what the reaction was gonna be, and I was expecting to get ridiculed. And the first thing that I heard was, "Wow, man, that's really cool." For so many years, I allowed this to be a burden on my life, and it was unnecessary. But for the first time, I told the truth about my virginity. Thank you.
Thank you, Colton. One day I hope to make love to Megan.
Yeah, we haven't gone all the way yet. He's got a lot of illustrated manuals that he still hasn't gotten through yet.
I love that Colton is very comfortable in his skin. That speech, especially for a male to do that, with all the stereotypes that go into not only being an athlete, but just a male, it's pretty incredible. I always dated men my age or maybe just a little bit older, you know, like 2, 3, 13 years older. My 20s taught me a lot about life, but now I find myself in my very, very early 30s as, for the first time, dating a younger man. And Colton, now it's my turn to teach you a thing or two.
Elise, in her performance, she got up there and she was willing to admit that she was older in front of everybody. I thought she was so brave for doing that. It was so bold of her. I mean, there's no advantage to being an older woman here.
Living in Miami, every single guy I've ever dated has either been Cuban, Colombian, or like a mix of the two. But everything was about to change because I was about to get the taste of the whitest bread I've ever tasted.
I could just feel like Colton looking at me. He sees like that good, goofy side of me, and he was cracking up the whole time. The fact that I made him laugh was like such a good feeling.
School dance after school dance went by dateless. Most of the time, I felt invisible. Fast forward to the other night. That feeling struck back again. And then you, Colton, handed me one of the most meaningful roses I've ever received.
I was touched by that, but it sort of took away from the rose that you gave me earlier today.
Some of the stories were super sincere. This story is about the first time I felt comfortable in my own skin. Some of them were a little more aggressive.
I grabbed my whistle and my lifeguard gear and I saved him from drowning in some bitches. Let me just add, there are some thirsty girls here, so I had to do it.
But I can be aggressive too. Someone came up to me and blew a whistle, actually, and said Colton was drowning in bitches. I'm a good swimmer.
So my story is the first time I tried to date a virgin. It's sophomore year of college. There is this gorgeous fraternity president, and come to find out, he's a virgin. This other girl in my sorority and I decided that we both really liked him and we were going to compete for him.
Tracy kind of tells like the most dramatic story I've ever heard.
And as I start to wake up, she punches me in the face.
She's caused someone to punch her in the face. So can you imagine what she's capable of here?
When I got a hold of him, he was not a virgin anymore, but it was the best sex he ever had.
This is not a romantic story whatsoever. If I were Colton, I'd be like, please get this girl away from me.
What morals do we take from that story?
Well, I think that it is a cautionary tale for the other ladies in the house. And so we've come to our final storyteller, Demi.
I'm gonna tell a story that is going to blow the crowd's mind. And I just can't wait to make that crowd fall in love with me. So I met this guy at this really crazy party, and I really wanted to kiss him, but I was just way too scared. Usually, when I see something I want, I am bold enough to go after it immediately. And so I had to tell myself, I'm not waiting any longer. When I want something, I'm going after it.
Demi is so immature. I'm not gonna lie, my stomach was starting to get a little tight in knots because I didn't want to sit there and see her kiss him.
And that is the story of how I got the first group date rose.
Trust me, I want to kiss him just as much as the next girl does, but I also want to establish some type of connection with him so that I'm not just forcing it on him. Demi is such a child.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for Colton and the ladies.
This date was the craziest thing of my life. I think that tonight I'm gonna have to definitely show Colton some depth in me and give him a little more serious side of me. I just can't wait to grab him and talk to him again.
Then, of course, get the group date rose.